So, as most of you probably have heard, the NFL is under a ton of scrutiny for its overtime rules. This is nothing new. The overtime rules have been under scrutiny for a while now, especially for the playoffs. This new set of rules were actually implemented in 2010 for the playoffs and then moved to also added into the regular season in 2012. Now, as a Patriots fan, back in 2019, when the Patriots were playing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship round, the overtime rules obviously benefited me and the New England Patriots and any fans like me. And then also again in Super Bowl 51 against the Atlanta Falcons, which is, by the way, the greatest Super Bowl ever. But also, the Chiefs fans just this last weekend when the Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs fans, while it hurt them in 2019, it came back to benefit them in 2022. And so, there's some give and take here. My view on it is that the rules are incorrect. I don't agree with them. I think they're poorly put together, really. I actually have a really good idea of what to do, or at least what I think is a good idea. I want to read to you, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here exactly what I'm reading. But from the NFL's official overtime rules, they say almost 66% of the NFL regular season games in 2017, the team trailing in the fourth quarter was within just one score of tying the game or taking the lead. So inevitably, with so many games so close, some will end in a tie score at the end of regulation. Now, there's some more stuff there about what the NFL has done since 1974 to resolve this. But the overtime rules for the regular season, they are modified very little for the postseason games just to prevent a tie. Now, me, myself, and I do not believe that any professional sport, whatever it is, I don't believe that any sport should ever, under any circumstance, end in a tie. It's a professional sport. Doesn't matter if it's tennis or golf or whatever, it should never end in a tie. These are professional athletes. With that being said, here are the overtime rules. Again, these took place for the postseason in 2010, and in 2012 they were expanded into regular season games. So overtime rules for NFL regular season currently: at the end of regulation, the referee will toss a coin to determine which team will possess the ball first in overtime. The visiting team captain will call the toss. No more than one 10-minute period will follow a 3-minute intermission. Each team must possess or have the opportunity to possess the ball. The exception, if the team that gets the ball first scores a touchdown on the opening possession. Sudden death play, where the game ends on any score, safety, field goal, or touchdown, continues until a winner is determined. Each team gets 2 timeouts. The point after try is not attempted if the game ends on a touchdown. If the score is still tied at the end of overtime period, the result of the game will be recorded as a tie. There are no instant replay coaches' challenges. All reviews will be initiated by the replay official. If the score is still tied at the end of overtime period, or if the second team's initial possession has not ended, the teams will play another overtime period. Play will continue regardless how many overtime periods are needed for a winner to be determined. There will be a 2-minute intermission between each overtime period. There will not be a halftime intermission after the second period. The captain who lost the first overtime coin toss will either choose to possess the ball or select which goal his team will defend, unless the team that won the coin toss deferred their choice. So basically what that means is that if the team that won the coin toss for overtime, if they deferred instead of wanting to receive, then they will receive that instead of it being the loser's choice. Each team gets 3 timeouts during a half. The same timing rules that apply at the end of the second and fourth regulation periods will apply at the end of a second or fourth overtime period. If there is still no winner at the end of a fourth overtime period, there will be another coin toss, and play will continue until a winner is declared. So that is, as you can see, directly from the NFL's website, the Football Operations website. I truly do not believe that a game should ever end in a tie. Here in the 2021 football season, the Pittsburgh Steelers tied the Detroit Lions. And again, it's a professional sport, professional athletes. There should never be a tie. I understand that the NFL says, well, it's all about player safety. I'm fine with that. I'm all for players being safe, but you're playing a contact sport. So, unless you're wanting to play flag football, there's risks. I mean, it's a contact sport. It's like saying, we got to make sure hockey's safe, and you can't touch each other. I mean, that's the nature of hockey. You're going to hit each other. You're going to bump into each other. So, I think it's just, I understand player safety. I'm all for player safety. You don't want those guys getting injured any more than they already are. But you're a professional athlete, you're playing in a professional sport, you shouldn't be ending in a tie no matter what it is. So my overtime suggestion, and I'll put this up on the screen for you as well, it's basically going to be like hockey. I call it the hockey style. The visiting team calls the coin toss, starting overtime. Each team gets a chance to score no matter the outcome of the receiving team's drive, and they continue to play a full 10-minute quarter as if, it was the first quarter of the game or the third quarter when they come back from halftime. If at the end of a 10-minute quarter the game is still tied, a sudden death field goal shootout occurs. Each team goes out for 3 field goals. The visiting team starts. So they'll alternate kicking like hockey or kicking field goals like hockey does with the overtime shootouts. The visiting team will go, then the home team, then the visiting team, then the home team, then the visiting team, and then the home team. The first kick is the 20-yard line. The second kick is the 30-yard line, and the third kick is from the 40-yard line. Okay. Again, both teams, they kick field goals, they alternate. Whoever makes the most field goals out of those 3 wins the game. You get 3 points added to your total score, and you're the winner. If both teams only kick 1 field goal or 2, or they make all 3 field goals, at that point you continue the shootout until someone misses. So if it's the 5th shootout and the visiting team misses, the home team still has a chance. Now if they both miss, then they keep going. If they both make it, they keep going until one makes it and the other misses. Because of elements like the weather, it can be a factor in open air stadiums such as Gillette Stadium or Lambeau Field. So since the weather can be a factor, both teams kick through the same uprights. So that way you don't have to deal with wind direction, because if the wind is going across the field when you get to the 40-yard line, then one of the teams is going to have an advantage, one of the teams is going to have a disadvantage, which, that's the nature of the game, but that's why they've got, they alternate which direction they go throughout the quarters. So that way both teams have a fair chance. Well, this would basically make it a fair chance. Both teams kick one direction. I know it sounds like a lot, but all it really is one extra quarter played just like the fourth quarter would be. And then field goal kicks. That's all it is. You keep, and during the extra quarter, the 10-minute quarter that you're playing, or overtime period would be the better word for it. During the 10-minute overtime period that you're playing, the same 2 timeout rule and only officiating reviews would be the same, or you'd keep those two rules from the existing overtime rules. I actually do like those. The only thing, I mean, I guess I should say I don't exactly like only officiating reviews, because let's be honest, the NFL referees suck. I think almost every NFL fan can agree that NFL referees have gotten progressively worse over the last 7 years or so. But that's really the only downfall to this that I see. I know somebody's going to pick it apart, and that's perfectly fine. I'm open to ideas, just anything but the crap that is out there, really. I don't, life's not fair, but in games, I think you should make it fair. If one team gets a chance to score, you should put both teams out there to get a chance to score, leaving it completely up to faith on a coin toss rather than pure skill. It's a professional sport. It shouldn't be left up to chance. It should be left up to skill. It should be left up to athleticism, intelligence, not the chance of a coin flip. So, I'm all for, life is not fair. What happens, happens. But when you're playing a professional sport, leave it up to the skill, not the luck of a coin toss. And, the Bucks didn't make, or the Bills aren't going to the Super Bowl. That's great as a Patriots fan, but I still want the overtime rules to be changed, because personally, I don't think it's okay to have a tie in a professional sport. Also, I don't think it's fair to leave the game, a huge game like a playoff game like this, up to chance on a coin toss. So, I think there's a lot of criticism for a valid reason. I think the NFL really needs to, the fact that these rules have been in place for 10 years now in the regular season, or I guess technically 9 years in the regular season and 11 in the postseason, they really need to fix it. I understand player safety is first and foremost, totally get that, but leaving a game up to chance on a coin toss, I think is a load of crap. So I think that this would be the better option, or at least better than what's existing. But it is what it is. Leave your thoughts. I'd like to know what you think about my idea, but I'd also like to know what you think about, potential overtime rule changes. I've seen a lot of scrutiny out there. I've seen a lot of different things. I think hockey does it in a really good way, although I think they still allow ties in hockey. But and I don't agree with that. They should continue shootouts until somebody wins. But, I think hockey does it better than the NFL. Just keep playing until somebody wins, really. That's what they need to do. I understand they have to do that in the playoffs. They should have to do that in the regular season, because certain games, like Pittsburgh Steelers, for example, that game against the Lions, that, if I remember correctly, that's why it boiled down to, their game being decided by somebody else. So if you have if you're in that situation where your game is being decided by somebody else, you probably screwed up somewhere along the season. But at the same time, if you would have had an overtime win rather than an overtime tie, you might be in a better position than what you would be just having a tie sitting on your record. Point is, play better. But with all that said, let me know what you think about mine. I want to know what you think about, and throw something out there. I want to see other ideas, more possibilities. But I really do believe that the NFL should fix this, because I really, and it's more annoying than anything when you see the NFL screw something up that shouldn't be that difficult to do. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.